Wealth is a Choice podcast. Boom.
Let's listen to it. Let's listen to it.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm excited to talk to you today. We've been doing some stuff together for a long time now, it seems like.
We absolutely have. Super excited to be on the podcast today and really chat about the work that we're doing here in Schoolcraft County and with and across the UP, really. So.
Yeah. So Manistee is my hometown. Mm-hmm. You know, we're in the UP, which is, it's not like you have a town and then you have like 30, 40 miles of woods. And then you have another town and another 30, 40 miles of woods. And that's not, there is a lot of America that's like that. Mm-hmm. But there's also a lot of America where I live downstate now, where it's one city after another one after another. There's no space in between. Right. There's no greenery in between. You can hardly tell when you've gone from one community to the next community. So this is a unique area. And you can take advantage of that. Yes. You know, so what do you find living and working in a community? Like, how do you get what that has to offer that's unique that you don't get somewhere else?
Sure. So I think the UP specifically is just such a broad community. So you say, like, in the area you live, sometimes you don't even know if you've traveled from one community to another. Mm-hmm. But in the UP, each community tends to have a very specific feel and nature and niche, if you will, mm-hmm. right? So Schoolcraft County is so the land of, we've got miles of untouched shoreline, no roundabouts, mm-hmm. no stoplights, and the community is very close-knit in mm-hmm. that it's like an episode of Cheers. Everyone knows your name, mm-hmm. but in addition, people in Schoolcraft County really care about their children, the education, and outside of the classroom as much as inside the classroom. Mm-hmm. So I think the UP is just a little unique in that respect. The schools are very close, so you can walk across the street to the high school versus where you live. Maybe you're driving 20, 30 minutes to get mm-hmm. to a school. And I think that is what kind of lends itself to the connection with the community as well.
You know, it's weird when I come back home and I see people in the stores that I know, recognize, we talk with each other, and I go back home. And honestly, a lot of the stores, a lot of the restaurants, they have people that have worked there for a long time, but you don't feel this like sense to get to know them, right? And even know their name sometimes. And when I go back downstate, I'm like, why do I not talk to them casually when I come in and have a little conversation, see how they're doing? Like, you know, because I am in a town and these people, sometimes they've stayed there for a long time. But it is a totally different sense.
It is.
In something like this.
It absolutely is. So we travel quite a bit for conferences and different educational events, things of that nature. And I always say, when you take the UP to Washington, D.C., they know we're there because yeah. we're going to be the ones talking to your Uber drivers. And, mm-hmm. you know, we want to know where you bank and who your grandchildren are. And mm-hmm. So, like, we just have this sense of community and this sense of wanting to know about people's lives and to make a real human connection. And I think that's really specific to the UP. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, DC in particular, I go there sometimes and I like to do a jog around the Capitol buildings yeah. and the monuments and everything. And I do say hi. Hey, I'm jogging. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Very few people say anything back, and they don't want to make eye contact.
They don't.
No.
Sometimes the Uber drivers are like, why yeah. are you asking?
I know. Well, that's so another thing too is I was talking to somebody about this about a month ago in DC in particular, and people want something from somebody. Mm-hmm. And so if you do try to engage or make eye contact, they go, what do you want from me?
You must be trying to sell me
yeah,
something.
You want to,
right?
yeah, I know.
Yeah, so...
And so they just disengage.
They do, but we're really good
they
at
don't
pulling
realize
it out
that.
of them.
No, you just, you know, yeah. make the day a little brighter.
Mm-hmm.
little sunshine, little conversation, and then nothing else,
No.
you know.
And our goal
might not
really
ever see you again.
might
Probably
not.
will never see you again. That's all right.
And may not recognize you when I see you next. You know, I mean, we see so many people, but still it's about that connection.
Yeah.
And for us, it's a deeper level in educating consumers about credit unions. So while we're not trying to sell you something, we do want a minute to talk to you a little bit about the differences between
Yeah.
credit unions and other financial institutions. And that's always a great segue because people love their credit unions,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah.
Why? By the way, this one rocks. I really do like your
Doesn't
guys'
it?
culture, yeah. And it's all women.
So
Which
not
is
always.
not okay. So
Not
a lot,
always,
but it's cool.
but
That's
it
unique,
is.
and you
Yes.
guys have a great vibe. And
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
a really great team of young professionals who've really found a career here at Limestone.
my brother John worked here. I know,
Yes,
so there's
yeah. I mean, he was
some guys once
fantastic.
in a while.
We couldn't convince him not to go on in the medical field
Yeah,
and stay with
yeah.
us. Not that we didn't try.
Yeah.
So he was fantastic. The members loved John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, being a community credit union, you guys can get involved in the community, and you've done that.
Yeah.
Where I know where you've done that is in the school.
Yes.
I know you do it outside of the school as well, but
There's very few tables that someone from Limestone isn't at.
yeah.
So we are your boots on the ground, right?
Yeah.
We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in naming stadiums, and not that there's anything wrong with that. We're just
Yeah.
a small credit union. So where we really shine is our volunteer hours and our involvement in the community,
And
specifically with students as well.
I like that. I think that's better. So I do some work with like Michigan Jumpstart Coalition,
Yes.
and we do, you know, not to put anybody down that gives money to it, I guess. Don't take this the wrong way if you're
No.
watching, but you know, sometimes an organization, a big organization, will donate some money, but they never show up in person.
Right.
In a lot of organizations, that's the way it is. Write a little check, and which is helpful. Trust me.
Everybody
you know,
needs money.
It helps. But a lot of organizations are that way. And what makes change is the people that actually create the change.
And that's really the message. I mean, I think that's a great message that should really be shouted from the rooftops with students is, you know, I don't know who said it, but 80% of it is showing up, right? Like being present and using your skills to make a difference is key in any community, but in small communities, I mean, credit unions are built on volunteerism, right? Our board members are all volunteer, our supervisory committees. So we try to take that and spread that through the community.
Yeah.
And students as well, you know, like I remember the days of the grind when their grandmothers would volunteer to come and work with them because they couldn't be on site without an 18-year-old. So it was bring your grandma day, right? Like so many, if you think outside of the box, there are ways to make an impact on a community that doesn't always require writing a check.
Yeah. So that's when we first met, I think, was
Yes.
through the grind. That was about a decade ago. When did that start?
The grant was written in 2015, so
Yeah.
yeah, it opened officially in November of 17 and then was sold in 21. So,
Yeah. So that's one of the coolest experiences and stories and I've seen in a school ever.
Oh my gosh. So we had no idea.
Yeah.
We had no idea the amount of work
Yeah.
that was going to be involved.
By the way,
in doing
I
that.
love that. There's a lot of times that a project never gets going because you don't have everything figured out. But sometimes you just got to get into it, and then you realize what's going on, but you adapt, you learn, you grow, and you figure it out. But
Build the plane as you
I'm
fly
so
it.
glad you guys started it, but sorry to...
Yeah, no. So we saw Mark Pirna yesterday at Bay College, and he said, say yes and figure out the rest later. And I
There you
was
go.
like, that should be our mantra.
Okay.
Right? So we sent a group to the Michigan State University CEC conference, which is Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities. It's either 2014 or 15. And that just kind of was the launch pad for us for, you know, you can make a difference in a community. You can join a board. You can start a business. You can involve students. And it really kind of kicked off the grind. And so that was a super exciting venture for those that don't know. Limestone owned a building, and it was to say dilapidated would be a compliment to this building. We had a quote to tear it down, and the quote was $12,000.
Okay.
And I felt like that was a lot of money to spend to remove something.
Yeah.
So we just kind of sat on it, and then this idea of creating a student-operated small business came about. And honestly, we drug our feet. We spent about 2 years figuring out how we were going to do this. We worked with students twice a week during their seminar period. And students went through every iteration of this business from...
So like even the concept, hey, let's do a student-run business, but then just that very, very broad concept was discussed with students.
Yeah, we had 50 students, and we talked
That
about...
many?
It showed up.
Wow.
Showed up. Now,
Wow.
it literally declined over
Sure.
time. But the first meetings were 50 students, and they were so excited at the thought that we had $20,000 in a building.
Yeah.
You would have thought it was $1 million.
Yeah.
Now, we intentionally waited, and I don't say this too often, but I guess everyone will know now, but we intentionally waited months to show them the building, because once they got to the inside of the building, it was a little deflating, right? It all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh,
It's a little bit of work.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's very small. The floors aren't level. It's, but we could see a vision, and we had gotten beyond that initial.
Did you know at that time it was gearing toward coffee, or you still didn't
We
know?
did.
Okay.
We knew in advance that we had done some market research and knew if we could get them toward this type of a business that it would be successful in Manistee. They had all different kinds of ideas: bakeries, coffee shop, video game, like a space for students to go and hang out, play video games.
Of course, that would be an
stand-up
option
comedy,
kids would
right?
come up with, yeah.
All kinds of ideas, but at the end of the day,
Yeah, this town always had some arcade when I was a
It
kid.
did?
Yeah, TJ's Pizza was the one when I was real little.
And then there
Pac-Man
was
and
one,
Space Invaders
yeah,
and all that,
exactly.
yeah.
Just a spot for
Yeah.
kids to go, and so that was initially a real discussion.
Okay.
There were some setbacks to that for us, quite frankly, is we needed to be able to create something that we could run inside of the scope of a business day, right? And that
So just logistically for everybody, it's a perfect location.
It is.
So the school's right behind us. You guys are just literally right across the main
Yes.
street. And then the building is right next to where you guys are located. So it's a 30-second walk from
Right.
the school to get here.
across the street, back
Yep.
and forth. So they did, as a group, they came up with coffee. They talked about, I love the part where they wanted to sell donuts, and we kind of talked through all of the donuts and the cost of making them and the equipment that would be necessary and the food permits and all of this. And at some point someone said, well, you have to start at 4 a.m. if you're going to make donuts
Yeah.
fresh every day. And I mean, you couldn't
think
watch
that's the-
them cross that off the
Yeah,
list
yeah.
quick enough.
That's the old.
No one was
the old,
getting up.
I think Dunkin' commercial. Time to
Yeah.
make the donuts.
Time to
poor,
make the donuts,
Poor guys
right?
getting up
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, no bread or donuts were
Yeah.
being made in that shop because
Yeah.
no one was getting up at 4 a.m.
Me
so,
included.
Yeah, me included. So that went quickly to the wayside, and we moved on to coffee, espresso, those types of things. So it was such a great opportunity for students to see something like from. I mean, we literally built it as we flew, right? So we did it side by side with students all the way through. And so it operated from from 17 to 21 before
It
we sold
operated?
it. Yes.
Okay.
So it was,
And so the first concept was in 2015?
yep. And then we opened for first public customers was 17.
So the cool thing about that too is the conversations you're having in 2015,
Yes.
a lot of those kids were then graduated by the time it became operational.
Yeah, and they actually came back and
Mm-hmm.
worked in the summer at the shop while they were going to college or came home for the summer. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
lots of community involvement, lots of students who went through this process over
Mm-hmm.
that period. I mean, we had freshmen who sold cookbooks to fundraise
Mm-hmm.
who were not there when it actually opened in 17, right?
Yeah.
So, well, the freshmen would have been, but the
Yep.
seniors
Right.
already graduated.
Yep.
So just a great opportunity to watch them explore the idea of starting a business. So one day, one prime example is somebody said, we should put a second story on it. And someone said, that's dumb. You can't put a second story on that building. And so we really tried to stay away from that. No question is dumb. No thought is dumb. There's no reason we can't explore this. So Nest Contracting came over from Escanaba. They drilled down with students to see what the foundation looked like. They came in and spoke to the students about the cost per square foot of building. So we spent a good month and a half exploring the idea of a second story, and it turned out it wasn't feasible. But it didn't mean there wasn't a lesson for all of us in exploring that. And we had the time, and we had so many great community partners that were willing to come and talk to students that I really loved that part of it. Like, I'd love to go back and redo that portion of it, because I think those are the lessons that you can't teach in a classroom, right? Like, you can't teach somebody to stand next to an engineer and bore holes to see how wide the foundation is.
Right.
And there were so many great opportunities like that. Great Lakes Roofing did the insulation. So right alongside students, they drilled into the ceiling and blew insulation in. Jake Rivard did the concrete floors. And I stopped over there one evening, and there's him and his 12-year-old son doing it. Right? Like, his son is now 18, 19 years old. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but he works with Jake. And every time he goes into that coffee shop, he knows he did that when he was 12 years old. You know, like, there's such value in the work that was done there. And I really loved that, that portion of that project. So then they opened in November, opened 7 days a week, from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we ran that. I mean, we tested later hours and different hours, and really that 7 to 2 segment really worked. But
And a student was in there all the time, right?
Most 90,
it
unless
seemed
they
like it.
were
Every
sick
time I
or
went in there, there were
something.
students in there.
So students worked on everything, menu creation. I remember an example where someone said, one of the students said, we need to increase the price on the drinks because milk has gone up. We had a partnership with Jack's, and they gave us a discount on all of our milk products. And when they went to pick up milk for the day, they noticed milk had increased. And I remember asking why. You know, how much is milk an ounce? How many ounces do you use in a drink? So equate that out to a cost, so then we can determine what that looks like retail. So again, a lesson that you just don't get every day. So there's thousands of those lessons in the 4 years, but it was just such a great opportunity for students to learn those things in real time. And I think sometimes there was some amount of frustration because we didn't have it all figured out, right? Like, so we had to at times remind everyone, like, we're doing this alongside of you. You know, we run a credit union, not a coffee shop. I don't know how much a shot of espresso is. We need to work that out. And so they learned about, you know, wholesale versus retail. They participated in the marketing. They served the customers. There was a board of directors that they sat on the board. So, you know, just a really great all-around experience.
Yeah. And fundraising.
Yes.
I remember being on a call with a bunch of the students and a venture capital guy, and they pitched it to them, and they did a brilliant job. It was amazing.
They were so nervous.
Yeah.
Before they went on camera, they were so nervous. And I remember we were just telling them, just be yourselves. Like, you've got this, you know. They did such a great job.
They did.
And so many people like yourself gave them opportunities that others wouldn't have let them in the door because they were students. So we have made so many relationships with people like you who have continued to support this programming and just see that value.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
I was so impressed every time I came.
I know.
How many students do you think directly were involved in it?
So I wish we would have done a better job of tracking this, but that's sometimes the downfall when you're building something as you go, is you forget to track the details or you don't have the capacity. So we think there was over 200 students. So building trades, practical math did a lot of like the initial projections for the nonprofit. And then all the students that participated in those brainstorming sessions for the 2 years. So at least 200, I would say.
Over the course of
15 to 21, so 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And for a school this size, that's
I know.
20-ish% or
Yeah.
so of,
Probably.
yeah. And then the ones that weren't directly involved, they saw that something works.
Yes.
And they got coffee there and they went in there and they were a consumer, you know,
Yes.
they were a customer.
Well, and outside of even that, they saw that it is possible.
Yeah.
Right? Like that the cost of entry for small business in Schoolcraft County is lower than it is in Royal Oak or Farmington Hills or Lansing or Traverse City. Right? Like, so the risk is less when the cost of entry is less. And for me, that was really the thing that I loved the most, was seeing that mindset change from I could never to, wow, if they can do it with students, I can do it. And I just love the watching students kind of have that light bulb moment of, well, what could I do? So,
You know, this is an entrepreneurial mindset,
It
the Upper
absolutely
Peninsula
is.
is. If you're going to live in a small town, you have to know how to get something done.
Yep.
And your friends run this, own this shop and own this place and own this place. And so that mindset is kind of there.
yeah, it becomes kind of a natural progression. And when you talk to students about, you know, when you, so when you decide what your path is, whether it's a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, some type of skills-based training, or, you know, maybe it's specialized education that's offered at your employer. We always try to talk to students about looking at a broad spectrum, like what is the industry here? So, you know, what could you do here? So choosing your major and minor, or choosing your education based on if and when you want to come back, you know, do you have a skill that could create either a small business or is, you know, already available as employment here.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's something that so many times students, if you're not careful, they're like, I can't wait to get out of here. And we're telling them, like, we're so fortunate to live here.
Yeah.
And so changing that narrative a little bit and getting them thinking about, you know, maybe they will go away for a few years, but maybe they're going to want to come back and raise their kids in this environment. And, you know, at that point, what does that career look like for them?
Yeah. For a number of years, we were doing, I called it the Jemmies, where alumni would come and they'd speak. And I never gave any parameter to any of the speaking alumni about, you got to say this, you got to say that.
No?
The only thing I said is be honest and tell your story.
Yeah.
Be humble, be honest, tell your story, whatever your story is. And all of them said the same thing, that because I grew up in Manistee, anything is possible, basically.
Yes.
But they all gave the same thing. That we all came from the exact same place.
Yes.
And we can move away, we can not move away, we can move away and come back, which a lot of people do. A lot of people do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
a lot
do.
of people love to return back here.
And we would love to, you know, I mean, I think every community in Michigan is talking about this, but how do we retain more of the youth? And I honestly think that's through entrepreneurialism, right? Like giving them that confidence to be able to open and operate a small business. Not everybody is cut out for a 4-year degree. And if they are, fantastic. If they're not, there's plenty of work and opportunity right here in the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah. So I love the story about the second story
Yes,
and drilling for the foundation, because it's like, I don't know, it's so easy not to know how to figure something out or dismiss something or have an idea that is not possible.
Right.
And you guys showed, well, if you have an idea, these are steps you can take to figure out the validity of it or how well it might work.
That's really part of our culture at Limestone, right? Like, so we're a small credit union. And so many times it's like people shut down ideas before they've worked through them. So I'm sure the team at times wishes we would maybe slow down a little bit, but you know, it's amazing what you can do if you just work through it. Now, in that case, we didn't put a second story on it, but those students now have some idea of the cost per square foot, or that there is a cost per square foot, and that's how those things are calculated. And so we really tried to stay like big ideas, pie in the sky, nothing is too much. And we explored as much as we could. The CAD class went over and laid out what they thought the shop was going to look like.
The CAD class from the school?
Yep.
Love
They
it.
laid it all out.
Wow.
Well, they had it on a plan, and then they
Yep.
went and taped it out, because I'm very visual. Like, I need to walk the space, and I think people do too, right? So we ended up making changes and modifying it like in real time. And I think it gives this sense of pride in the work that they're doing, but also the understanding that just because we don't like the first iteration doesn't make it wrong, right? Like, sometimes things go through multiple iterations of either a plan, a business, before they get it right. Like, how many entrepreneurs do you hear say, oh, this is my 11th venture or my 12th venture, right? Like, people have to work through these things to understand what really works.
Yeah.
And there's lots of those examples. The donuts is my favorite one, but I also, maybe that's because I don't have any experience in engineering. So really appreciated Ness coming and working with the students. It was a really great opportunity for them.
Yeah. And male, female, it's very involved on both sides.
Both
I
sides.
saw every time I saw.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women working in it, but I saw some guys working in it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of men and women, young men and women,
Yep. In
high
the
school
project
kids,
as a whole.
in the whole project as a whole.
Yeah. I would say you're correct. It was more women that worked the shop, but there were a ton of building trade students involved, and most of them were men.
Yeah.
So, you have to remember that floor is cement, so they had to jackhammer up
Yeah.
to move plumbing, and
Yep.
some really great experience for all of them. And there were girls in that class as well, girls in the CAD class. So,
Yep.
like a really good mix, I think.
I love seeing that. I've got a big family. There's 8 kids in my family, 4 boys and 4 girls. And my sisters are freaking rock stars.
Yeah.
My brothers are fine. My sisters are unbelievable.
Okay.
And so my impression growing up from a really young kid is always that, women can do anything and everything. Yeah. So I love to see both men and women participate in things. And there's sometimes, like this bike ride I have, the female participation is about 30%, and I would love to see it be 40, 45, 50. We keep pushing for it to be more and more. It's a pretty big endurance event, and sometimes that's intimidating, but I guess the point is I love to see a balance of involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised, and we haven't talked about this yet, but in our Learn It, Plan It, Pitch It, this year we saw more male participation than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
So
I know,
I thought that was really interesting, and
Yeah.
I loved seeing the difference in businesses that they created versus what we see when there's more females involved.
Yeah. So you said softly something. I could rewind it and find out. But you said something about we just have to give some time. You're talking about your organization giving some time. You said it as if it's not difficult. It is unbelievably difficult. People don't give the kind of time that you guys give.
No.
How do you do it?
So our team,
Like you've
we were
dedicated
about
an effort toward that, yeah.
24 last year, and that includes some interns and some part-time and full-time, and 777 hours of volunteer time out of our organization.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's beautiful.
So we really encourage it a lot. We do some things like, for example, on Columbus Day, if we don't do an all-staff training, we'll give them a full day off if they volunteer 4 hours for an organization. So there's some of it we provide a framework for them to do it, but a lot of it, I think, for them is seeing the impact, right? So part of our team volunteered last year to do the check-in at like the basketball and volleyball games, and we did it not every time. We did it on senior night, so parents
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to work that that they could go and enjoy the game with their senior.
Oh, good.
So like those impactful things, like
Yep.
we can't maybe come and sell tickets to at admission every single week.
Right.
But when you have parents' night, like we want to be there to fill that gap for you.
That's amazing that
So-
you even recognize that.
Yeah, well, Michelle Levine is fantastic, and she asked us, and we just kind of thought about that, and we all remember having seniors, and
Yeah.
we don't want to be taking tickets and,
Right.
and running a mission. We want to watch our senior play their last game or one of their last games. So really recognizing where there's a need and making sure that we're filling gaps that are important to the community. So those types of things, and then there's a myriad of other things that.
Do you think you're volunteer heavy as a credit union, or do you think a lot of
yes.
credit unions are?
I think there are a lot of credit unions who volunteer a lot of time. I think as
You guys
per our
seem to be
size,
pretty
we're-
strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like per person, the number of hours, we're very strong in that area. But I would also say that like Schoolcraft County is heavy in that, right?
Okay.
Like when you go to Habitat, you see local businesses sitting on the board. Like I think the community as a whole really knows the value of volunteerism.
Okay.
So I think that has a lot to do with it, right? Is that it's just part of the culture.
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do. And
It's
most
not.
organizations are very tight with their employees in terms of what they can do outside
Yeah.
of their office.
It's, credit unions wouldn't be here without
Yeah.
volunteers. So it's for us, it's part of our, it's just part of who we are.
Yep.
And then we see the pride and the impact that, our team feels when they're able to do volunteer work. And then also the impact on the community, and things don't get done if you don't have, there will not be fireworks without an Independence Day committee.
Right.
Right? There will not be a Folk Fest without a Folk Fest Day committee
Yep.
or Folk Fest committee. There will not be a Schoolcraft Tourism and Commerce without a board of directors and the merchants and the
Yep.
car show, and like all of these
Yeah.
things are operated on volunteerism, and if people don't volunteer, they don't happen. So
Speaking of fireworks, I lit them one time.
Did you?
For the town, which I don't know how that even happened.
I don't
honestly.
either.
So I was, I think, 19 years old. It was a couple friends, and then a couple of adults, like legit adult. I don't know how we got in on that, but there was 4 of us. And we were digging holes at the harbor in the sand and we have never lit a firework before because they were illegal to have firecrackers and stuff
Right.
back then. So, we didn't have any experience lighting anything spectacular. But so there's just this ball. Have you ever seen one before? So it's a ball. It's like about the size of this.
Okay.
And it's got this long wick. And then we dug a hole in the sand and we'd put like a plastic tube down there.
Okay.
Like a PVC pipe. And we would drop it in there and let the wick hang out and then light the wick. And then we stood back a little bit. And
A little bit.
It shot up in the air. And it took us a minute to realize that we are responsible for the town's experience tonight. Because we would like drop it in and light it and watch it. Like, whoa, that's cool.
Then you'd be like, oh,
And
no.
like, let's do another one, We put it in, light it, boom, it'd go up. Oh, that's so cool,
Oh, that's
And then after a while, we started hearing some horns honking. We're like, oh yeah, everybody's watching us.
Right,
Let's
it's
do
not
more.
just us.
Let's go faster.
Right.
And then we started doing a bunch, and then
how fun.
we kind of took slowed down, and then we went fast again, and. There was no like, okay, here's what you do. You've got 100, and you need to do it like within this amount of time.
You mean there was no safety
No, there's
plan or
nothing.
disaster
There's
recovery
nothing.
plan or any of
Nothing.
those things? Yeah.
No instructions.
No
about,
insurance.
This should take 35 minutes,
funny.
or you know what I mean. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got to do it, but it was very cool.
I'm quite sure you're not
Yeah.
going to get to do it this time.
No, we won't be able to do it now.
I'm pretty sure there's a formal plan.
And when it came to the finale, we're like, okay, we're getting toward like, how many we got left, Like, okay, now let's do them really fast. And we're just putting them in.
How fun.
I know. There wasn't like a finale box. Like these
Okay.
ones are the finale. They're
So there
different.
really
Do
was
these,
no
yeah.
plan.
No, there was literally just a whole bunch of them.
That's hilarious.
I know.
What a great story.
Oh,
though,
we had a riot.
And
And then when we're done, we can hear all the horns honking. Everybody seemed like they were happy.
felt like a rock star.
Went well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was neat.
Yeah.
So you're really involved in schools.
Yes.
And with kids.
Yeah.
And have been for a long time.
For a very
Financial,
long time.
what do you call it? Financial fairs? What?
Reality fairs.
Financial reality fairs. The grind, just student involvement in general. What did something start that?
No, I think credit unions as a movement are
Okay.
very involved in financial literacy. So lots of K through 12 education and student branches. So if you look across the country, you'll see student branches in elementary schools and high schools. For some reason, Limestone was not successful at that. It is not for lack of trying. We had a branch at the high school. We had a branch, a small branch at the elementary school. And we just couldn't get the student engagement part.
Okay.
And when I say for not lack of trying, we gave away iPads, we, did drawings, we tried everything. And what we found were from the high school specifically, we would pass them coming to our main branch because it was an open campus then, while we were going over to set up for their high school branch.
Okay.
So I don't know if it is because our main branch is so centrally located, or if they felt like banking is a very adult activity and maybe they didn't want to bank at the school. Honestly, I don't know. When we told the board that we were not successful and that we were going to need to pull out the branches, I was so nervous. Everyone else is reportedly so successful at this, and we cannot get students to show up to work the branch or use the branch.
Are they successful at it, do you think?
They say they are, so
Okay.
I have to believe they are, yes. But
I
we were
I
not.
remember seeing that like over a decade ago. I don't know if they still go on today or
They
not.
do.
Okay.
They do. And we just weren't great at it. I
Okay.
don't know why, but we kind of stumbled upon this retail idea. And, it happened quite by accident. Quite honestly, we were selling some small things at our credit union branch. And it turns out like students are really interested in small business.
Okay.
And so we opened we called it the Triple E, Emerald Elementary Education Spirit Store. And so we sold hats, t-shirts, sweatpants, pencils, trinkets, books, and it was owned and operated by the fifth grade classes. So
Okay.
whatever fifth grade class, whatever the 3 fifth grade classes, they ran it year after year, and students loved it. They were security, they were marketing, they were the cashiers, they did the ordering, so they just at fifth grade they absolutely loved this.
Okay.
And so that was kind of the start of our retail journey, and that's how we ran that for probably 5-ish years.
What grade starts at the high school building? 6?
I think 6th.
Okay.
I think 6th, 7th, and 8th are there now.
Okay.
So when we moved on to the grind, we didn't have the capacity to do both. So the store, I think they're running a small store. I think Christy Ryan's doing the Helpful Hotspot,
Okay.
which is a different version, but still gives them that experience of a retail store. And then we've got some small ventures where we'll sell things at different events and things. So, but that really is what launched our education program, because we found through that we could get student education. And so then, from there we just expanded on our classroom activities. We host financial reality fairs for both middle school and high school students, and those are made possible by the Michigan Credit Union Foundation.
Okay.
So they have all the materials, and through our membership with them, we're able to use that. So, and then our Learn It, Plan It, Pitch It, we have a branch on campus at Lake Superior State University, and
Okay.
there we do Adulting 101, which is super fun. We teach students about the cost of credit or the time value of money, whether it's credit or savings.
Okay.
So really love that programming. There's a whole slate of programming. Like
Yeah.
if you are involved in students, we have a program.
Yeah.
But we really try to keep things very interactive and real. So giving them hands-on experience, because that's where we have found the engagement.
Okay. So financial literacy in the school system is becoming a thing.
It is.
Yeah. And for a long time it was, if you have the capacity, if you have a person that's a teacher that's interested in it, if you have an organization
would
such as
invite us
yourself,
in.
that maybe you can help facilitate it. But across the entire state now.
Yes, it's required.
Yeah.
Yeah, thrilled about
That's a
that.
big change.
Thrilled about that. In fact,
But not every, but teachers, for the most part, like didn't study, I'm going to be a financial lit teacher.
Right.
Like, you know, they didn't, that wasn't their career path when they
Yes.
got their certificate.
True.
Right. They want to be a history teacher, a math teacher, or a science teacher, or something like that.
economics or
Right. Yeah. So this is, they need help
They
from
absolutely
people like
do.
you. Yeah.
And we're really fortunate to have a close relationship with the school. So I think we taught 3 or 4 of the pillars last year.
Mm-hmm.
So really excited to be able to partner with the school and bring.
Mm-hmm.
We're using Next Gen for those for the content, but I know Jumpstart provides it. Like there's a lot of avenues to get the curriculum.
Yep.
And we were really excited to be able to. That's been a goal of ours, is to teach that alongside the teachers.
Have you heard of Habitudes?
No.
Okay. So I did a podcast with Kara McSound from Habitudes just yesterday.
Okay.
Or 2 days ago.
Okay.
And what I love about that is they focus on habits of your relationship with money
Okay.
rather than specifically how does a car loan work, how does this work,
Right.
how does that work. Things that a student might not touch for a decade possibly, you know, when they're a sophomore in high school or something like that. But what I find is the work that you do are developing these relationships with with money, career, possibility,
Yeah.
and that lasts a lifetime.
And it also creates a trusted relationship with the credit union. So, most importantly, what we find is students, they don't know where to go always for.
Okay.
So now you have a person, you have a credit union, you may move. I don't know how many students will call 10 years later, like, I was in your whatever class.
Okay.
And today I want to buy a car, but I want to ask some questions. And quite frankly, we don't always get the business, which is fine. We want the business, but honestly, it's more about being able to provide them really sound financial information. So that's really key. 30-year mortgages, we know that the path to wealth is, shorter term mortgages and buying less house, things of that nature that people don't always talk about, right? You go to apply for a mortgage, you apply for a 30-year because you want a low payment. So we start these conversations really early, and then specifically in Adulting 101, like, we're providing them solid numbers. $100,000 house, 30 years is $100,000 in interest, or 120, or whatever it is. So giving them like real things that maybe they won't be able to quote 5 years from now, but they'll be like, hey,
Yep.
I remember discussing this. Could you give me the cost of interest or the cost of credit? Because so many times those things are just overlooked. So we're really just trying to establish a relationship with a credit union, and then providing you like those key triggers that should cause you to ask more questions.
Yeah. If I look back at my high school years, some of the most influential classes I had, the number one most influential class I had that I've used my entire life was probably typing.
Yeah.
Isn't that
me
wild?
too.
But I became a really good typer. It was between me and Penny. Penny was another student, and we would have races, and Penny and I were like neck and neck all the time in terms of how many words per minute. Words per minute? Letters per minute?
Words per minute.
But anyways, but that was I guess I learned a functionality that I've used my entire life. I do a lot of writing. I still use a keyboard all the time. But shop class, I had drafting class. And these, like, shop class taught me mechanically how things come together, how you can repair things, fix things, build things, create things. And it was like, it's good for the mind.
It is.
I didn't have financial classes, but I did have Mike Powers, who, God bless that guy, he's still there today.
He's retiring this year.
Oh, is he?
I don't know
Okay,
if you
I gotta go
know.
see him.
He is true loss. To
Economics was a good class.
It was.
Because it gave you the numbers, and I still remember getting out. He had the newspapers with his ticker symbols of the stocks. I still remember it though, and so it makes an impact.
It does.
And these are practical things that you need to understand and have some relationship in life with, and and you get exposed to them at a young age, and then you recall them.
Yes. And that's it. Like, exactly. You may not remember everything you learned.
Yeah.
But if you remember when and where to ask the questions, I think that's really the key is, knowledge is power. And if you know when and what questions to ask, it just makes a significant difference,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to borrowing and saving, so.
Yeah.
And then those hands-on activities, we play, one of our staff members leads Financial Jeopardy, and even will at times
Ooh, that sounds like
dress
fun.
up like Alex
Really?
Trebek. It's
Okay.
so fun. It is so fun. We have the buzzers and everything.
Okay.
So you get a lot of engagement from students. And again, we're not teaching them, it's not rocket science, but it's just teaching the lesson in a way that's relevant, fun, and
Okay.
engaging to them. So
I'll show you the habitudes.
yeah,
It was pretty
I'd love
cool.
to see it.
She's got all these decks of cards are relevant to like different ages, and then she took out a couple and asked me a question, and but they're thoughtful questions, and then you answer, but then a class can talk for an hour about everybody's answer.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, and those are the times that you really see what they know and what they want to know.
Yeah.
And I love those round tables.
Yeah.
Our education coordinator is really fantastic, right? She has a curriculum and she has activities. Me, sometimes I just want to get in a classroom and hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really telling too when you see them actively engaging in things like Financial Jeopardy. It means like, our team has done their job in engaging them and students. The school held a professional development day last year for students. So much like, you or I would go to a conference, students from all over the UP came to Manistee and participated in a
That blew
conference.
me away to hear about this
Power
thing.
Up, I think it was called.
Yeah.
So we did Financial Jeopardy at
Wow.
at that event and got a lot of good feedback
Yeah.
in the survey, right? So
I couldn't believe
what
this
a great
event. What
idea.
amazing.
Isn't it?
In this little town of Manistee, and then they pulled people from all over the UP.
Yes.
And how many students? You said 100?
Over 100.
Yeah. I thought it
wish
was like 189 or something.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know if
probably
it
was.
So-
Ask Mr. Powers, he will know.
and mainly run by students,
Yes.
having this leadership
Yes.
conference.
Right here.
I mean, how bold is that?
Right.
And wonderful for these students to do that.
And you think about when you start your career and you go to your first conference, like you don't always know what to expect, how to act, where, and these networking and events like this are so important to students. Is they're just not exposed to it otherwise. In the Sioux, we have anywhere between 3 and 5 interns at any given time, and we take them with us to business after hours, to different events and meetings, so that they are exposed to these types of conversations. And we've gotten some really good feedback from
Yeah.
college interns as well
Yeah.
on the experience and how they now feel better prepared if they end up in an event, how to be professional but casual at the same time. And that isn't always easy, right? So
The other thing is that this stuff is real. It's real life.
it is.
Did you see this? There's a Netflix documentary called Mansphere. I think it's on Netflix.
No.
So it's pretty difficult to watch because it's so bad, pathetic, like what these lives, I guess. But what I saw through the documentary is a lot of young people are following these men on social media, and they have this idea that this is what life is like. But mainly the women involved in these men's lives do not like it.
Right.
And they portray it as this is how life is, and it is completely misguided. But these students are getting the impression that this is what adulthood is like, and this is what it's like to be a man. And but that doesn't work in the real world, and it's not working in these guys' lives in reality either. But here, students are learning real life,
Yes.
real relationships, real conversations, what leadership really looks like, what creating something really looks like, how it works to work with each other.
What it's like to want a seat at the table
Yeah.
and how to get there.
Yep.
And, somebody just recently said this, and I don't know who it was, but they said, you never know who your next boss is going to be.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really powerful
Yeah.
statement, especially when you're in a room with networking.
Yep.
Because students aren't often exposed to that. And we tell them a lot of things like, watch your social media, be careful, your employer's going to look at that. All true,
Yep.
true, right? But there's something very real about saying, today you might meet your future boss.
Yeah.
And I think that giving them that experience alongside our team is really, it's just, to me, it's really impactful
Yep.
on their future. So
Yeah, and on that note, like, so like I was I was a good kid. I was an honest person. I didn't try to hurt anybody. I think I was nice. You know, people said I was a good listener.
Yeah.
But I was a young kid, and you know, an adult would look at me and say I was probably reckless. I was probably whatever. Yeah. So in a community, people, there's a character, there's a culture, that there's somebody within there, and as we're young, we're trying to figure all kinds of things out. But like your next boss might be somebody you never thought
Right.
had their stuff together
Right.
when they were younger.
Yeah.
And not that I got all my stuff together, but a community can be forgiving and see the kid and see the adult in the
Absolutely.
kid, and that's important in a community, because otherwise somebody can make a mistake once in their life and that mistake defines them throughout their whole life, and that's not fair. And that's not
Absolutely.
accurate.
It's not.
Yeah.
And, you know, so many, we saw Mark Pirna yesterday, and he said, so often we talk about students in groups. So these are the academic achievers, these
Yep.
are the C's, these are the below grade point
Right.
average. And so many times when you start talking to students, if you're not careful, they hear, oh, I'm talking to the academic achievers, so this doesn't apply to me.
Right.
That is so untrue.
Right.
It's so untrue. Like,
Yep.
students can be whoever they want to be.
Yep.
And like just giving them the power to make that choice,
Yep.
I think is really key. And I think there's some really great things happening today that will help this. Like, this generation has so much potential.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to
Yeah.
watch them kind of progress through.
So Tim Magnuson was speaking at the Gemmies one time, and one of his comments was that the school system is designed for you to get A's. And I think he was the valedictorian, you know, and he said that. I'm like, what school did you go to? Like, are you kidding me? And the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know, maybe it is, I guess. They give you every answer in class, you know, so maybe it is. I can, you know, he got A's. I didn't get them. Once in a while I got one. But we all have different brains.
Yes.
And we all learn different ways. And some things are second nature to somebody, but very difficult for somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, that has been a real, I think you don't have to you don't have to get straight A's or a 4.1 or a 4.2 to succeed in life. And I, like you, was a bit of a wild child.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't hurt anybody, but
Yeah.
I had a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, like, looking at what you want to do in the future, it's about what you're good at, what you love to do, what you're passionate about, because if you're not going to be great at it, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, I fell into credit unions, and I just love this industry. I love the ability to be honest and truthful with members about, you know, yes, we can write a 30-year mortgage all day long. That's not the best option for
Yep.
everyone. And I love not having to worry so much about, if I say that to a member, it may, you know, it's not about the bottom line. I mean,
Yep.
everyone has to be profitable, has to make money to sustain the organization, but it's about the member owner, right?
Yep.
So, like, making sure that if members are financially independent, the organization is. So I think it's a different type of an organization that I
Yep.
just really love.
So the grind is how we met, and I've
Yep.
got my grind coffee inside my little travel
Yep.
mug right now. And that did go full circle.
It sure did.
Yeah.
It sure did. It ended up outgrowing the business model. So students came over on a work study. So they were there for 45 or 50 minutes and they had to leave to go to their next class. And then 10 minutes later, the next group of students would come over. Well, in between, there would be lines of customers who needed to be served. So at the end, it really was more about making coffee than it was about board service or learning about Robert's rules or financials. Like there just wasn't great time to do all of that. So the students actually went through the process of listing it and selling it. And the new owner has done such a great job. She's a Manistee alum and has expanded the business beyond what I could have ever, what we could have ever seen. So.
Every town needs a good coffee shop.
Every town, and we've got a great one
You
there.
got a great
She has
one,
done
yeah.
a great job. They're actually opening a second shop in Curtis.
Oh,
so
good,
really
good.
love to see that growth as well.
Good, good.
So yeah.
So then you guys came up with another idea, and this has been a blast.
Oh, learn it, plan it, pitch it.
I can't believe, so the crazy thing about this is if you didn't have this platform for these kids to share their dreams and their ideas, these dreams and ideas would never be heard.
Right.
And you would have no clue how much talent
Right.
and innovation exists inside these young minds.
Right, and last night's event, 7th and 8th graders.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so in the past, we've had quite a few upperclassmen, but 7th and 8th graders, weren't they fantastic?
They are.
They are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, it's a play on Shark Tank. We're not
Yeah.
the only ones who do it. Typically it's done, or where I've seen it done, where we got the idea was at the college level. So
Okay.
multiple colleges do pitch it events. And then recently they held one in Sault Ste. Marie that our team was part of. This is a little different, and some of those are like one-day events, whereas we run this for 10 weeks. Students work with local merchants, our member education coordinator, our marketing department. I pop in and out, and so it's like super fun to watch them show up on day one. Like, I don't know what I want to do, to I wouldn't say fully developed business plan, but a pretty good framework. And really to see that they're excited enough about it to show up in front of a room full of strangers and pitch their idea. And to me, there's so many skills packed in that 10 to 12 week period that I don't know where else they would get, right?
This goes back to you guys giving your time. It's incredible. You could do it in one day, and it would be better than not doing it at all.
Right.
But doing it over that span of time
Yeah.
is lifetime impactful.
I think so too. And just like for me, I love to go and watch. So like this year we had Travis Wood from Grover Real Estate and then Chris Shiner from Shiner Technologies. They were the two that came and met with students, and just to watch the ideas flowing with students like talking about what their business idea is and then to get feedback. So I don't know, so many rooms you sit in and people don't want necessarily that real-time feedback, but I think it's really important to learn how to accept that and to also expand on it. And so that's what we see in the merchant sessions, is how somebody says what their plan is, whoever's there, Travis and Chris this year, gives them another idea, and then they kind of expand on it. It becomes a brainstorming session versus I told you to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
not a teacher-student event. It's a round table, much like you might have in a business when you're thinking about a new product or how you reach a certain audience. So really great times in the classroom.
We could probably walk around and ask 100 people what dreams or ideas they have, and I bet everybody's got one.
Everyone has one.
Yeah, and you guys create an environment that allows those to go from just in here to have the courage to put it on paper or say it with their mouth and share it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you don't realize that your dreams and ideas can happen.
Right. It matters, and you have the power to see those things come full circle or to fruition, which I think is super exciting.
Yeah. So true talent in these students in this town of Manistee, and there was a, we talked about a couple yesterday, the design of the jersey, and I mean they're doing things that are creating something that lives on and lasts.
Yes. And you've done such a, like, I so appreciate that we've met and you've been involved, because for you it's beyond the judging the event, or, like when we chatted last night, you're in contact with Leona, and, like it matters to students that other adults see the value in what they're doing, and you never know what impact that might have on somebody, so from bringing in a group of investors to talk to our students, to, maintaining relationships to them, giving them jobs, judging the event, like really appreciate that constant connection that you have.
I love it. Yeah, yes. It fuels me a lot. I
Yes.
love coming back up here, and I'm glad I get to be involved.
Yeah, it's, I wish there were more people, because I think the community would love to see the students. It's hard to get people to come out, right?
Yeah.
So maybe next year we'll look at changing the venue a little bit, or one of the things I'm hoping we're going to do next year is, have you seen like the Shark Tank update?
Okay.
So next year we're going to do
it.
where are they now?
Oh, wow.
And maybe we'll ask like
That's a great
Cheyenne's
idea.
Lures,
Yeah.
Lily Nafala, and then maybe like Bailey Buttermore,
Yeah.
and some of the winners from the previous
Yeah.
to come back and
I love that.
talk to us about their experience.
That's
So,
important. That's a
yeah.
good idea.
So maybe,
Because things are happening still for
right?
them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Do you think you'll run this program for years and years?
So I think we may look for different iterations of the program, because the point is to have a community full of people
Yep.
that see the students, because really beyond the classroom, like last year, Cheyenne connected with the mustard seed. Like there has to be a connection after, or the ideas may just fall short.
Right.
And those things happen by having people in the audience. So
Yep.
next year we'll look for a way to engage with the community more. Maybe we'll hold it at the art gallery, or maybe looking for a way to get more people involved, and bringing back previous students who've pitched an idea will help.
Okay.
But ideally our goal is to find a business idea to stand up another small business.
Okay.
So much like the grind, we're looking for the next grind.
Okay.
That is not food or drink.
Okay.
We don't want to have to deal with the
Yeah.
food safe and all of that.
Okay.
So really looking for something that we can grab a group of students and work through this again. So I think we'll keep running this until something like that starts.
Okay. I can't wait to see the live bait trailer at the fishing tournaments.
Is that a fantastic idea?
I love it. I love it all.
So a food truck for bait. I
Yeah.
love it. Like, it's such a great iteration of what we're seeing today in the gig economy.
Yeah.
And then,
So last year there was a gaming. A young man was trying to help create a better social environment for gaming.
Yes.
And I love the concept where people game in their homes alone.
alone.
And this is a sport.
Yes.
And it can be a community sport. It doesn't
can.
need to be an isolated sport. And then this year, already this young, not even in high school, his understanding of AI
Yes.
is crazy.
Power, yes.
He has a
isn't it?
better understanding of AI and what you can do and to create a model within AI than most people
Impressive.
I've talked to.
Yes.
And how old is he? He's like
7th or
14
8th
or
grade.
yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Unbelievable.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And his platform is already built. I wish he would have showed it last
Yeah.
night. But we're always a little limited on time. But it's already built and they're testing it in
Yeah.
schools. So I think that's really fantastic and really speaks to the intelligence of this generation, right?
Yeah.
Like, they are so incredibly smart.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just need the tools.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they just, like Bauer, he was already developed. His business was developed, right?
Yep.
So he's learned some things along the way, but I think we all learned a lot from him.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, which I thought was really fantastic as well.
Yeah. Do you think that what you're doing here it's repeatable. We're in a community. It's repeatable in communities all over the place. Is it
Yes.
repeatable outside of that, or is this a community model that works really well?
No, I think it's definitely repeatable, and it is repeatable. It's
Okay.
being repeated. We're not the only credit union. Credit unions across the state of Michigan and the U.S. are offering programming like this.
Okay.
I think sometimes our programming is a little different because we really want the engagement, which I'm not saying anyone else doesn't want the engagement.
Yep.
We really want students to engage with us, so we look for different things like a retail store, a coffee shop, and now this Shark Tank program. Again, our Adulting 101, totally created by us, right?
Yep.
So I think other credit unions are creating programming as well. We just are in a small community, so it gets a lot of attention.
Yeah, good.
But I bet if you stopped in Farmington Hills and talked to the credit union's education department, they would have a whole slate of programming as well. So
Okay.
credit unions are really focused on financial literacy, financial independence. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I've got one more question for you.
All right.
But before I ask it, do you have anything else that you wanted to share?
So we've talked a lot about limestone, and I think that I want to make sure that everyone knows, like, the work that we do is really a culmination of the entire community, right? Like the grind had so many partners, so many donors, so many people, boots on the ground, from your business owners to your realtors to your bankers to your credit unions to your alumni to, it really takes an entire community. And when I said last night, I often wonder if people are like, oh, that's Jennifer, don't answer the phone. She either wants money or volunteer.
Yeah.
And it's not for me or for us that we're asking, and so we feel really confident in the work that we're doing, and we love to engage others because we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
And then our team, like I would have loved to have had the whole team in the room today because they're really the ones doing the work, right? So our member education coordinator, Kiara, is the one in the classroom for the 10 weeks with the students, and there's so many people that are involved in this work, and we love the purpose and the impact and the connection with the overall community.
Yeah, it shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here's my last question. The name of this podcast is
Wealth is a choice. Boom.
and wealth in my world of financial planning. Typically, people associate with money, but wealth isn't just defined as money. It's health, community, love, relationships. It also money. It's a lot of things. So I don't know what wealth means to you in this moment, but do you think that wealth is a choice?
I absolutely do, and I think I can align this with the credit union's mission, and that is financial independence. Financial independence looks different for everyone, much like wealth does, right? So at whatever age and stage of life that we're in, we need to define our own wealth and our own financial independence. And I think the world is changing, financially, times are challenging. And people are forced to really look inward and determine what that looks like. With regard to financial wealth, I think all of us can look back when we were just graduating high school, college, and look at the choices we made and wish we had maybe taken a different path. And so for us, it's about the choices that then will lead to either wealth or financial independence or both.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't realize when you're in your 20s that $2,000 or $3,000 that you could have put into your investment, what a difference it would have made.
What a difference.
Yeah, and maybe that $2,000 or $3,000 was a lot to part with at the time, but honestly, it just kind of fritters through the
really
system pretty easily. We could capture it here and there.
I have a chart from a book that Richard Bach wrote that says, like, at 18 years old, if you save $1 a day, it turns into $1 million at 62.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, $1 a day. I mean,
I know.
how much is
It's
how much
nuts.
is a lunch or
Yeah.
coffee or whatever? So, that's something we really focus on with our team, and then we share that chart, even though it was written in the 90s, or it's still relevant.
Yeah.
The
Do you think the
choices-
kids see it and believe it?
I do. There's so much available now that we see students at a much younger age talking about how can I invest, where do I go, who do I talk
Okay.
to. So that's
Because I
been a
saw
change.
it when I was younger, but I don't know that I embraced it.
I think when you break it down to you're 18 years old, you need to save $1 a day
Yeah.
to become a millionaire. Now,
Yeah.
they say things like, 62 is so far away, right?
Right.
But there's a whole.
But you'll be
there's
damn
a
glad you
fire
did it when you were
movement,
60,
there's-
'cause, yeah.
There's so many different,
Yeah.
between now and 62.
Yeah.
There's so many different paths that you can take. That $1 today, if you just start saving $1, right?
Yeah.
You will come back and thank me for providing you this and telling you just do it.
Yeah.
I interviewed CTE students a few weeks ago, and some of them are going on to skills-based training, but some of them are going directly to work. And before they left the room, I said, if you do nothing else financially, when they give you your new hire paperwork, max out on your 401k.
I love it. You said max.
Max out on
I
your
love it.
401k. Max out,
And do
because
you,
if you won't
I'm
miss
going to
it.
ask you now. I don't know if you do this or not. Do you tell them to max it out as a Roth? Because I am.
I
all
don't, but if you
in-
tell me to, I will.
I am all in the
on
Roth. I am.
Yes.
I don't think anybody should ever do pre-tax again in their life. And it's weird how people still don't understand, like that the Roth in the 401k. The biggest misconception I see: people don't think they're going to get the match if they use the Roth, and they
right.
don't understand that it doesn't matter if it's Roth or pre-tax. You're still going to get the
You
match.
still get the match.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll add that to my statement.
please do.
So many times I see students 2 or 3 years after they've worked,
Yeah.
into their career, applying for a car or a house, and I
Yep.
look at their pay stubs and the 401k is 0.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it meant. I didn't have the money. And so I tell students, like, if you need help with that new hire paperwork, max out on your 401k. So
Yep.
that's better than 0, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's not in a Roth. So
Yeah.
I'll add on a Roth. But I think that things like that really go a long way and really create a path toward wealth.
Yeah.
That and 10-year mortgages. That's my...
Yeah. According to Vanguard, 18% of the country contributes as a Roth, and that 18% splits it. So most of them don't even do 100% Roth.
Wow.
100% of my clients for a very long time have been doing Roth.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
it's by far, it's
Yeah.
so unbelievable. We save money to spend it.
Right.
And what's better than having it all?
Oh, right. Not having to pay taxes.
Not having just a portion of it, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you guys are showing people that wealth financially is created in small increments over the course of your lifetime.
It really
when
is.
when I was young and in college, I remember still thinking wealth happens suddenly someday.
When I
Suddenly
make
someday
X.
I make a boatload of money and then I go toward this path of wealth. I didn't grasp the idea that it happens so
Over time.
easily in small increments over the course of our lifetime.
The time value of money, listen, it's either in borrowing or savings, right?
Yeah.
So cut your car loan. Don't do an 84-month car loan. Do a
Yeah.
48-month car loan. All of those things have an impact
Yeah.
on your financial independence. So.
I love what you're doing. I'm so just honored all the time that you let me participate every once in a while in it. I love to see it.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing, and
We have some really great
Yeah.
programming. Our board's really supportive of this work, and overall a great organization.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for a entire organization moving in the same direction.
Yep.
That doesn't happen by accident.
Yep.
So
Thanks,
really-
Jennifer.
Yeah.
High
thank
five.
you. Great to see you again.
All right, you too.